Hey guys, Skis here, back with another Bitcoin video. So, Bitcoin's currently sitting at around 51.2. This is the hourly candles. And, you can actually see that this is about 8 days. You can just see we've kind of just been in a range of between 50.6 down here and around 52.6 up here. So, around a 2K range, and you can just see Bitcoin will make its way to the top, then it'll come back to the bottom, then it'll come back to the top, come back to the bottom. And so I do think we'll probably make our way back to the top eventually. It might not, be like a nice path. It might just like be something crazy. But I do think eventually we'll come back up to the top at around 52.6, 52.5 maybe even. Somewhere around the top. Um, and I think for now, Bitcoin is fine. Like we're going sideways. And I said this before, there's two ways Bitcoin can get a correction, right? It's price based or time based. And price based would be like if we came up here and then we came back down and then we came up and then we went up, right? Even if it took a while, right? Like let's say we come down here and then we go up, like that would be a price based correction. But there's also the time based correction, which you can just go sideways. Bitcoin going sideways to me is actually bullish. At least like in this environment right now that we're in, I think sideways action range bound is actually bullish for Bitcoin, and in my opinion, actually just gives Bitcoin more time to fuel up and then maybe get another push to the upside. So right now, I think we're good with Bitcoin. In my opinion, I don't think we're gonna see a massive sell off just yet. If we are gonna get one, I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter, online, and stuff saying that we're gonna get a sell off and stuff. But for me, we're just in a range, and Bitcoin's done this before, so we can take a look at some examples. The biggest example and in relatively recent history is Bitcoin in 2023. This was 7 months. This doesn't look like that long, right? But this was like 220 days. And all Bitcoin did was it was between 25K and 31K. All it did was come to the top, come back to the bottom, come back to the top, go back to the bottom. Then we left. So that's one example. Another one is literally like 2 months ago. This is between the beginning of December all the way to the beginning of February. So another 2 months right here between 40K and 45K or 44.7. So this one's even a bigger range. This is a 4.7K range. You came to the top, came to the bottom, top again, didn't even come to the bottom here. We had deviated actually, then we came to the bottom, slightly deviated below it. So we actually had two deviations in this range, and then we broke through the range. So just another example of Bitcoin just being in a range. And right now, I think we're just doing that again. I don't know how long it's going to be. But like I said, in my opinion, going sideways, and you can actually see both times, it was just a range, and then we broke up, right? Like, we just ranged here, then we broke up. We just ranged here, then we broke up. So if we range here again, like I said, this is a time-based correction. Maybe we can get another leg up. We'll have to wait and see what Bitcoin does, but in my opinion, Bitcoin is just fine as long as we're in the range, and we're just in the range right now. So I do think Bitcoin will make its way back up to 52.4, 52, somewhere at the top. I don't know if we would break it if we go back up. In my opinion, probably wouldn't, just because, like I said, we're just in a range. So if we do come back up here, we'll probably start coming back down after, but we'll have to see. There are some things that are a bit concerning, in my opinion, that are kind of indicating that we might break down. First of all, it's just the daily candle. It's just the way they look. If you just to look at these past few days, it kind of looks like Bitcoin might like be slumping down, right? It kind of looks like it, just because we haven't closed below 51.6 in this range at all since we came in it. Like every time we came down, the daily candles we would actually just wick. But now this candle just closed. Like it closed like 5 minutes ago. And so we still have 24 hours for this candle to do whatever it wants to do, but just based off these two, which you can't really take to the bank, but it kind of does look like we might start coming down. And we actually haven't gotten any sort of like sell off, right? Like at all since, I guess, the ETF news, like since this 21% move down, or 22% move down, that we got after the ETF was launched, which I guess wasn't like that long ago, really. I mean, it ended at the end of January, and we're like at the end of February, so it was just a month ago that we were like down here. And so we don't have to get it like a huge sell off like people think, but not only that, like not only do these candles look like it might like slump over, but the indicators that I think are really good for Bitcoin, such as the bull market support band, currently sitting at around 40.8 in the midpoint. It's pretty thin, so just to say around 40.8K. I mean, the bull market support band would be a great place for Bitcoin to find support if it ever like came down there. I'm not saying it will, but even if we did come to the bull market support band, which is a great area for Bitcoin to find support, that's a 20% drop just because we're so high up. So even the bull market support band's really low. What I think we could do is like Bitcoin could just like go sideways for a while, not really do anything, but like the bull market support band would like keep going up like this, right? Like if I like drew these out a little bit farther, kind of looks like it would do something like this. So let's just say we go sideways for until like March or something. Like eventually, like going sideways would like make Bitcoin hit the bull market support band. So that's one way we could go to hit the bull market support band without just getting a massive sell-off down to it. And then we also have the Ichimoku cloud, right? Like on the daily, it looks pretty good still, right? It's green, it's pretty thick. But again, like Bitcoin is just so high up that even these great indicators are just so much like lower than it because Bitcoin's just been, in a massive uptrend that even coming down the Ichimoku right now would be a 15% drop. It's the top of it's at around 43.5. So those are some indicators and some reasons why I think Bitcoin might sell off and like get a some sort of sell off. But I do think if we did get the sell off, wherever we found the bottom at, which I think 44K would be like the bottom. Like I don't really think we would go lower than it if we did break all these other levels, like the ETF high right here. We have a little bit of support at around 50K from this like price action right here. But if we broke all these levels, I think 44 would be a great area that it would hold. But even 44 is pretty low, right? So we'll just have to see. Like I said, in my opinion, Bitcoin this is the 4-hour Ichimoku too. Also, by the way, I think the 4-hour is also a pretty good indicator for the Ichimoku. And actually, the bottom of it's coming up. It's just actually at the bottom of this range, maybe slightly lower than it at around 50.3 right now. 50.27. But if we wait till Saturday, 2 days from now, like it'll be at the bottom of the range. So the 4-hour Ichimoku is actually looking pretty good for Bitcoin. But yeah, like I said, for me right now, Bitcoin's just in a range, and I think there's nothing wrong with it being in a range. And so I do think that Bitcoin will make its way back up to at least to like 52.5, somewhere at the top of this range. But we'll see. So where can we go if we are going to break up? Because I just talked about the downside. Well, in my opinion, I think the mid to high 50s is the level that I'm looking at. So let's actually go to the weekly, and you can just see that I'm going to draw like a box. You can kind of see, like, honestly, Bitcoin usually just quickly makes its way to the top of this box. It's kind of hard to see in the weekly. Maybe I'll flip to the daily and we could just go over to it. But I spoke about this last time, right? Like, where even is Bitcoin's price is literally the bottom of this. You can't really see the green line, so let me pull the box down a little bit. But you can see the green line that Bitcoin's currently at right now in relation to back in this price history. And you can kind of see that Bitcoin it moves pretty quickly in this level usually, at least in 2021. This is in 2021. You can see right here, instantly went all the way up. When we came down, instantly all the way down. Instantly up, right? All the way down to the bottom, back up to the top. Actually, so usually this range is actually a range that Bitcoin doesn't typically stay in for a while. And so we're actually creating some price history now. With the past 8 days of being in this level that Bitcoin hasn't really spent much time in, really, because like I said, like usually when we were in here it was like boom, we were all the way at the top, and then when we came back down to it was like boom, we're at the bottom. But right now we're just like kind of hovering in here, which in my opinion actually is kind of bullish. But like I said, there are reasons, and we just talked about them why we might be selling off. But yeah, so top of the range really at around 55K. In my opinion, like if Bitcoin is going to get its next move up, I think 55K would be a great level. And you can actually maybe even extend this to 58K. Let's flip back to the weekly real quick. Yeah, you can kind of see, maybe I can draw it a little bit higher. No, actually I'd say around maybe 55, 56K for now, in my opinion, is where I think Bitcoin could go before it gets like a massive sell off if it were going to go to the upside. Yeah, we'll just have to see. And don't forget that, guys, this purple line right here, it's actually April 25th, I think. Bitcoin halving 62 days from now. Yeah, April 25th. Probably, no, not probably. Definitely the most bullish thing for Bitcoin is 62 days away. And let's actually go. I want to actually talk about it a little bit real quick in terms of like historically how it's played out. So you can actually see this was 2020, the last halving. By the way, guys, this was the COVID drop. This was COVID-19. So it, in my opinion, kind of makes this, at least the 2020 halving, just a bit, kind of hard to read because I don't really think Bitcoin would have gotten this massive sell off, which was a 63%. Like Bitcoin went from 10.5K down to 3.8K because of COVID right before the halving too. So this one, in my opinion, is a bit difficult to read, but you can actually see 3 days before the halving here, right before the halving in 2020, May 2020, Bitcoin actually sold off 20%, 19%, 19.8. Was it 3 days? No, 4 days. Well, I guess 3 days before the halving, because on the halving it was actually down to, which actually interesting. But Bitcoin was in a huge pump before the halving as well, right? But you could also say maybe this was because the COVID drop was just so massive that Bitcoin would get a pump into it. But regardless, we did get a 20%. I'm just gonna say 20% because it was 19.8. 20% right before it, 4 days before it. If you want to go back to 2016. Bitcoin, again, got a massive sell-off. This one was actually also pretty massive, also pretty quick. It was also only 5 days. 30%. 30% drop in 5 days. By the way, this was just before the halving. Like the bottom of, actually just go to the top. The top of it was 16 days before the halving. And then the bottom of the sell-off was only 11 days before the halving. In this case, we actually sold off after the halving, pretty big again. In my opinion, though, like after the halving, even if Bitcoin gets a sell-off, you do not sell your Bitcoin ever after the halving. So this sell-off was actually pretty big. Just from the drop to the bottom, another 30% almost. But look what came after it, right? Like, I mean, I think anyone would take that. It went from $470 to about 3,000. No, up to 20K. $470 to 20K. So yeah, that's after the halving. So another reason why the halving is just such a great event. And then if you take a look at what happened in 2012, this is going back real far now. I mean, I don't even honestly know how valid 2012 price action is, but it's in the history books, and this is what we got. So Bitcoin again, massive sell. We actually got two sell-offs, right? Like $15 down to $7, 50% drop. A couple months before it. We're a bit closer now, so in my opinion, maybe this second drop's a bit more relevant because we're only 62 days away. A 25% drop, and this wasn't even that far. Like the peak of it was about 55 days, 53 days, and then the sell-off ended, and we were only 31 days. So basically the sell-off ended a month before, and it started like 2 months before. And then look what happened, right? Like at the bottom of the sell-off, right before the halving, 30 days before the halving at $9.80. Bitcoin then went from $9.80, all the way up to $266. So 2,600% move after the halving. So halving is in 62 days. You just saw the massive moves that Bitcoin puts in after the halving, and we're only 62 days away from it. But you also did see that we've gotten sell-offs before it, right? So right now, like we said, around 60 days. So yeah, we'll see. Like honestly, like the sell-offs actually came a bit closer to the halving. It was probably around like 30 days, maybe. I think the earliest one was 53 days that we saw. So that's still like a week from now. So maybe we got another week of Bitcoin going up or just going sideways, and then we get a sell-off. But if a sell-off is gonna happen, the best time to buy, like almost like certainly, is wherever the bottom is after that sell-off if we get it. So yeah, guys, that's Bitcoin. Like I said, in my opinion, probably it's gonna be range bound. Even though it does look scary, like I honestly think this looks a bit scary to me. Like on the daily, on the hourly, it doesn't look that bad, but on the daily, it does look kind of scary. But we'll just have to see. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.